John Hartnett of the Irish Technology Leadership Group, you're here. You're really one of the concrete examples of what came from Farmley in 2009. How have things changed in Silicon Valley when it comes to Irish companies trying to get their projects up and running over the past 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, over the last 2 years, what I've seen is that I've seen more Irish companies coming out. Silicon Valley is a well-known brand, but what it's known for is really kind of technology. It's the center of the world in terms of, the big companies, the Googles, the Intels, the Apples, and the combined market cap of those companies is about $2 trillion. But it's also where venture capital is raised. Over 40% of all venture capital across the United States is in Silicon Valley. And from an Irish perspective, I think we need to take some of that cash and get it invested into Irish companies. So a big part of what we've been trying to do is create a gateway to Silicon Valley for young entrepreneurs. And the great thing is they're coming. And we've got 30 Irish companies in the Innovation Center that we set up last year. And that was 30 more companies that weren't in Silicon Valley 2 years ago.
Now, as we're speaking, the first attendees are
Yes.
arriving here at the forum. We can hear them there in the
Yes.
background. How important are forums like this? I know it gave birth to this idea that had been forming for a while about setting up an Irish presence in Silicon Valley. But how important are things like Farmley and here at Dublin Castle, the second forum?
Yeah, I think they're critically important. I mean, they're important for a number of reasons. First and foremost, the global Irish are not all in Ireland. And in my own experience, I've lived in Silicon Valley for 14 years, and you have a global perspective, and you have a perspective on Ireland from the outside in. And being able to kind of have a public-private partnership where you can have a conversation with the government, with the agency, etc., about what's good, what's bad, what do we need to do differently. And this to me is more of a process. It's as I say, it's more farming, not hunting. And in terms of the process, I think the first Farmley was really kind of bringing people together. And a number of ideas came up from that. And as I mentioned, one of the things we did was we suggested putting a Silicon Valley Innovation Center there, and we've executed on that. And likewise, putting a diaspora fund together, which we've executed on as well. But now we need to kind of move more into execution of these other ideas. And for me, what I would love to get out of this is what's the game plan now of executing some of the ideas that were there. And that's the big part of why I'm here.
Now, we've seen here in Dublin a lot of technology companies, big name technology companies like Twitter most recently, deciding to locate in Dublin.
Yeah.
Just how significant an identity has Dublin as a location for technology companies and a source not just for those big names to locate here, but also of smaller, more innovative companies that are beginning to emerge?
Yeah. When you're living in Ireland and you're surrounded by some of the negativity that's kind of been happening for the last year to 2 years, you can kind of lose track of what we've actually done for the last 25 to 30 years. I've been in technology for 25 years, both here in Ireland and in the US, and we've a phenomenal track record. You talk about the likes of the Twitters and the Facebooks and the Googles, who have had phenomenal success over the last few years. But Microsoft have been here 25 years, Apple have been here 25 years, Intel have been here 20 years. These are decades of experience that is not just going to get minimized by the current challenges that are there. So we have a very good reputation. I think for now we need to be able to look forward and project where we're going and how we're going to invest in innovation and how we're going to drive this agenda going forward. Because I think our success in the 21st century, the innovation century, is going to be our ability to be able to be the leaders in innovation.
What often happens with technology companies, and this is not to minimize their impact on the economy, but somebody will come up with a fantastic idea, they'll develop it, and they'll sell it on to a bigger technology company, usually in the US.
Yes.
And the downstream effects in terms of creating jobs back here in Ireland is sometimes very minimal. Is that just the way the industry is? Are there companies that can lead to more jobs being created here in Ireland? Because as I don't need to tell you, that's one of the biggest issues that faces the economy.
Yeah. I think this issue in terms of early exit is probably core to the challenge that we have and dealing with the temptation. I'm a young entrepreneur, I've strived all my life to build a company, somebody's coming in and offering me 50 to 100 million, I'm going to get very excited by that. On the other hand, they're offering you that because they see value in what you have. And in many cases, in the Valley, Entrepreneurs are starting with creating $1 billion of company in the first place. They're starting with creating a NASDAQ quoted company. And I think we need to kind of get that culture, we need to get that confidence where young Irish companies are starting with the end in mind, being a public company, being a multi-billion-dollar company. And that will create long-term long-term security, long-term value. You compare ourselves to the likes of Israel. Israel has 130 companies on NASDAQ today. We have about 3. If we had 130 companies or even 50 companies on NASDAQ today, it would solve a hell of a lot of the problems that we're dealing with right now.
And does Ireland have the infrastructure necessary to support those companies in the later stages?
Yeah, I think, the important things for companies, is basically access to capital, access to customers, and access to talent. Customers are going to be outside of Ireland. We're too small a nation to create, huge businesses here. So we're going to be export oriented. So focus on the US, focus on Asia, and driving business there is going to be a critical part of driving that customer, engagement. Capital and capital intensity into the opportunities here in Ireland is key. It's not all going to come from Ireland. It's going to start in Ireland. But when the big players from the US are going to make venture decisions to invest in Irish companies, that is a big, a big part of the journey, because they're investing in a big way into an Irish company, and that will really accelerate the growth of Irish companies. And then finally, in terms of talent, I think we've had a good run in terms of the quality of Irish talent coming through universities, and we're recognised as being a smart nation. On the other hand, there's some dark clouds that we need to be able to deal with, and we need to face them square on. When I heard the news yesterday that we now no longer have universities in the top 100 in the world, that's a problem. We need to be in the top 10. Because from an Ireland perspective, we're small, with minimal resources, so we've got to do a few things, and a few things really, really well, and we've got to be excellent. And the place to be excellent is in education.